Hello, everyone. Welcome to Celsius 233, your go-to place for fiction book summaries. Today, we will enter the world crafted in Lady Susan by Jane Austen. Lady Susan, written by Jane Austen in 1794, is a novella that showcases her mastery of epistolary storytelling. Though lesser known compared to her major works like Pride and Prejudice or Emma, this short novel stands out with its wit, sharp social critique, and a cunning central character. Set in a world of social maneuvering, it follows the titular character, Lady Susan Vernon, a manipulative widow, as she weaves through romantic and social entanglements with calculated charm and deception. Plot summary: Lady Susan Vernon, a beautiful and manipulative widow, was restless at Langford, where her presence had stirred jealousy and turmoil. With a shrewd understanding of human nature, she charmed the men in the household, especially the married Mr. Mainwaring, while making enemies of the women. Recognizing the brewing tension and the need to relocate for her own advantage, she writes to her brother-in-law, Charles Vernon, at Churchill, securing an invitation to stay with him and his wife, Catherine. Lady Susan is eager to escape Langford, yet her departure is not without a calculated step. She sends her reluctant daughter, Frederica, to school in London, separating herself from the child she considers a burden. Arriving at Churchill, Lady Susan presents herself as a model of charm and grace. While Charles is happy to host her, his wife Catherine is far more suspicious, knowing full well Lady Susan's reputation for manipulation. Lady Susan is undeterred, setting her sights on Catherine's brother, Reginald de Courcy, a young man of strong character and reputation. Reginald had been warned about Lady Susan's dangerous charm, but when he meets her, he is quickly captivated. Lady Susan skillfully portrays herself as a misunderstood woman, casting doubts on the accusations of her flirtations and manipulations. Reginald, once resolute in his judgment, begins to see her in a sympathetic light, his growing admiration blinding him to her true nature. Meanwhile, Frederica's situation becomes increasingly precarious. Lady Susan had been scheming to marry her off to the wealthy but foolish Sir James Martin, a match Frederica desperately wishes to avoid. Frederica, shy and unsophisticated, is terrified of her mother and fearful of her future. She attempts to flee her school, hoping to escape Sir James and her mother's control, but is caught and returned to London. When Frederica's troubles reach Lady Susan at Churchill, the widow is furious at her daughter's defiance. Frederica is brought to Churchill, where she is treated with a cold indifference by her mother, though Catherine takes pity on the timid girl. Reginald, now thoroughly under Lady Susan's spell, begins to notice Frederica's distress and questions the truth of Lady Susan's maternal care. Lady Susan, however, deftly manipulates the situation, ensuring that Reginald remains more charmed by her than concerned for her daughter. Despite this, Frederica's presence at Churchill stirs emotions in Reginald. He observes her kindness, her vulnerability, and her reluctance to marry Sir James. His protective instincts awaken, and he begins to question Lady Susan's motivations more seriously, though his attraction to her remains strong. Sir James Martin arrives unexpectedly at Churchill, invited by Lady Susan to continue her plan of forcing Frederica into marriage. His appearance causes chaos. Frederica, horrified, grows more despondent, and Catherine, witnessing her niece's misery, resolves to help her. Sir James, though wealthy, is laughably dim-witted, and his attentions are unbearable to Frederica, who despises the idea of marrying him. Reginald, now fully aware of the ridiculousness of the match, starts to see through Lady Susan's charming facade. The cruelty of forcing her daughter into such a marriage begins to reveal the depth of Lady Susan's selfishness. Catherine and Charles, who had always doubted Lady Susan's sincerity, become more vocal about their concerns. Catherine, particularly moved by Frederica's plight, confides in Reginald, urging him to protect the girl from her mother's schemes. Reginald's admiration for Lady Susan begins to waver, and his feelings for Frederica grow. Lady Susan, however, remains undeterred. She plays upon Reginald's emotions, claiming that her efforts with Sir James are purely for Frederica's benefit, and that her daughter's resistance is simply youthful folly. Reginald, though conflicted, is still drawn to Lady Susan's charisma and sophistication. The tension in the house mounts, and Frederica's desperation becomes more evident. She takes a brave step by writing to Reginald, pleading for his intervention and revealing her deep unhappiness with the prospect of marrying Sir James. Her letter, full of sincerity and fear, deeply affects Reginald. He finally realizes the extent of Lady Susan's manipulations and the cruelty with which she treats her daughter. His admiration for Lady Susan crumbles, replaced by a sense of betrayal and disgust. Lady Susan, sensing her influence over Reginald slipping, tries to regain control, but it is too late. He confronts her, denouncing her treatment of Frederica and expressing his disappointment in her deceit. Lady Susan, ever pragmatic, quickly abandons her pursuit of Reginald when she sees that she can no longer manipulate him. She returns to London, leaving Frederica behind at Churchill. The young girl, relieved to be free of her mother's immediate influence, begins to blossom in the care of Catherine and Charles. Reginald, his heart now softened by Frederica's plight, grows increasingly fond of her, recognizing her kindness, modesty, and quiet strength in contrast to her mother's cunning. In London, Lady Susan swiftly moves on, marrying Sir James Martin herself. Though she had previously scorned him for his stupidity, she recognizes that his wealth and malleability make him a useful match. Ever the strategist, Lady Susan ensures her own comfort and security, even at the expense of her daughter's future. Frederica, however, is now safe at Churchill, surrounded by those who care for her well-being. The novella ends with Frederica remaining at Churchill, her future brightened by the love and protection of Reginald, who, having freed himself from Lady Susan's charms, finds peace and contentment with the younger, more virtuous woman. Lady Susan, as ever, lands on her feet, married to a man she can control, but with her true nature exposed to those who once admired her. If you loved this, don't stop here. Check out other books by Jane Austen. You'll find them below or on Celsius 233. Remember, while our summaries capture the essence, they can never replace the full experience of reading the book. If this summary intrigued you, consider diving into the complete story, buy the book, and immerse yourself in Jane Austen's original work. Bye-bye, take care, have fun.